We got Seiji up first,
Yay.
then Q&A with Mr. Tim Lonehelp, and yoga with Miss Eva Kulik, and yoga with Anjali in the afternoon. So I hope everybody's ready. Can you guys hear me? Seiji, are you ready? You got your quiz?
Yep. I'll start with that. Let me see. Yay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to class 2 of the Bodhisattvas way of life. Thank you, Anna, and hola, Lily. Good to see or other Asian people that speak Spanish. All right. And so the last class was pretty, I don't know, it was very cool, but somehow we managed to just translate one paragraph. So I was scraping a little bit for questions. So what is the exciting new things we're going to be doing on the classes of this book from Master Shantideva?
Learning Sanskrit.
Yay, yes. And you remember how exactly?
Organically.
Yes, that's pretty much it. Geshe Michael said that he'll teach us Sanskrit organically, one Sanskrit rule per line in the text. What is the first organic Sanskrit rule? I know you don't capitalize organic, but I thought it was like a name, so.
I like it.
There's
Someone
in
remembers?
general, there's 2 lines of Tibetan for every 1 line of Sanskrit.
Yep, there you go. The ratio is 1 to 2 or 2 to 1, depending on how you put them. And what's the second one? It also
in
has
this
to do
particular text,
yes.
The meter of this Sanskrit has uneven halves, but I think normally it's even.
Right. All right. Thank you for that clarification. I need to put in this text. Yes, correct. Do you remember how many on the first one and how many on the second?
I believe it's 11.
Yes.
11 beats in the first and 12 in the second.
Yep. There you go.
But Tibetan keeps it even.
Right. Right, which is incredible.
It's incredible.
Yes. All right. That's pretty much it. Well done. And so this is the next paragraph. The blue is what I started doing with translating word by word, but then I Nick helped me. So he came up with this part.
Okay.
You want to read the Tibetan, Seiji?
Oh, yes. Gewa Komchir Dakshi Depe Shuk Didaki Kian Reshik Pelngur La Daktang Kalwa Nyampa Shenki Kian Chitendi Daktone Tenyun Gur.
Okay, cool. I've heard people say that Sanskrit is like clouds, and you can look at them and different people see different things, and I think that's true. So what did he just get through saying, Seiji?
He had just said, I have nothing to say that wasn't said before.
Yeah.
You mean in the previous paragraph, right?
Yep. Previous.
Yeah. I have no virtue, or I'll write it for me or something to remember.
Yeah, so I can get used to it or something. So
right.
He's clarifying here what he wants to gom. And Gewa Gomchi means this gom is just like I want to swim in good deeds or something. You see what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I want
Okay.
to, you can translate it later poetically, but it's something like, I want to immerse myself in goodness, okay? That's one reason why.
Right.
And if I do that, then the power of my faith, good, will, yeah, will increase, right?
Yep.
What do you think is the Reshik, you guys?
Slowly.
Little by little is what I thought it was in this case.
Yeah, I would
Wait,
say that.
no.
Okay.
Kyang Reishik.
But again,
And
doesn't
what's the
Rashik usually mean
Sorry.
provisionally? Like if I were to do that, then it would increase maybe?
Or it could be, it could mean it could. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes Reshik means that, you know, I
Or
think he's being modest. What's the Didaki?
By trying to practice virtue, or probably by that,
Yeah.
faith.
from the power of his faith
The,
expanded.
if I'm gonna write a commentary, I'll say by these lines or something like that. It's plural, right?
Ah, right.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's what yeah.
We were talking about that yesterday.
Yeah.
It was either verses or work, or yeah.
Well, it's open, right? In fact, you
Mhm.
might want to leave it as by these things, or by these. You see what I mean? And let the reader figure it out. Sometimes I think when you're translating this kind of poetry, if the author has been ambiguous, I believe you should leave the ambiguity. Okay. He may have had his own reasons not to say by these verses or something. You see what I mean? Or by these efforts. Okay. So these things will increase the power of my faith, and then we don't know what these things are, and then we leave it up to future generations to interpret it. You see?
My faith will increase. The power. What did you say? The power of my faith will increase.
Yeah. Well, he literally says the power of my faith will could increase. I would say. I think it's being modest. Okay. I think the Reshik is the Reshik can also mean short-term goal. You know, at the moment, I just want to increase my faith, and that has its own implications. You see what I mean? You could say at the moment, Reshik. Okay.
I want.
By the way, you don't have to struggle with it now. Just get the ideas in your head, and then it's like putting a puzzle together. Okay.
Right.
Reshik probably means here in the immediate term, and not in the long term. He's got some other long term thing.
Right. Okay.
And okay, if someone else with an equal capacity, I don't know about capacity for Kawa. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's like equal, like not potential, but yeah, ability. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and we can talk about it for days. It's like Japanese poetry or something, but if somebody's at the same level as me, it's something like that, you know. If someone is at the same spiritual level as me, other people who are at the same spiritual level as me, and you have to make your own decisions, Seiji, about poetry. how to turn it into poetry. That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
It means they're not, if they had less kawa than him, they wouldn't be interested in reading this book. If they had more kawa than him, they would be writing the commentary. You see what I mean? So people on about his level, yeah. Yeah. And Chite is kind of like, maybe it will happen. Okay. Yeah, that maybe is good in your translation. What's D-dot?
I was thinking it's well, we were discussing whether it was these verses or this book.
I think it's the verses. I think it's plural. Yeah.
It is, yeah.
If it was the book, he would have said D, right?
Okay.
Oh yeah, what Seiji and I were discussing is, are we referring it to it as these verses, or sometimes?
I think we are. And he's used it twice now in this little 4-line stanza, right? Yeah, Dunya Girin may be useful. I love the may that you use, Seiji. Why?
Well, that was what Nick told me. I was going to say may it be useful.
Why do you think, but why do you think it might be really important to say may?
Kangba Kyung?
Yeah, he's being modest. He says,
Right.
Maybe they'll help somebody. I don't know. Probably not. Probably it's so stupid, nobody will benefit, So when you say, when you say it may be useful, I think it's great. That's the future tense of your, right? Or the future tense can be used for operative. It could be useful. Okay.
Right.
All right. Okay. Cool.
All
All right. Good luck recasting this verse. Okay.
Is there another reason that they do this, or just to like kind of practice humility? Or is there
It might be true.
I doubt it. For
Well,
Master
it might
Shantideva,
be
I doubt
true
it.
that no one figures out his text, You see what I mean?
Right.
Maybe it'll help somebody who's smart enough to figure it out.
Right.
I wouldn't say it's definitely false, maybe nobody will read it. Maybe nobody will benefit, so like that. That happens too, It's like good rock and roll. There's some songs that just never made it.
No, because I was
Unless we
thinking
make it
at the same level as Master Shantideva is kind of hard.
Oh, that's true too. That's definitely what word called Kengba Kyung. What is Kengba Kyung word?
Kangba Kyung is for authors, especially like Master Shantideva, who are beyond. They show a degree of modesty, either often at the introduction or the conclusion of a text when they say some words to us.
Yeah, it's this idea that I don't know anything, but if it helps you, I'm happy. Okay, and that's good. Okay, here we go. I bet all the commentaries say Kengba Kyung there. Okay. But I had a few more Sanskrit notes from the last verse. Okay, Seiji, we didn't finish it. And my next organic Sanskrit principle, let me see here. And by the way, in organic Sanskrit, we're just going very slow, and we are going to emphasize points that come up in the verse that we're on. So it may be a little out of order compared to a grammar book, but it'll be a lot more interesting. And trying to memorize a grammar book I did it and it's hard. So one of the main principles of Sanskrit is called roots and add-ons, okay? And Sanskrit is built, if I'm not mistaken, I heard 800 roots. There's 800 roots. They're called verbal roots because they mostly relate to actions. So Sanskrit is built like building blocks. It's like a Lego thing. And first you take the root, verbal root of some action. It's some kind of action, some kind of verb. And it's usually in the form, Seiji, of a consonant and then a vowel, and oftentimes another consonant, sometimes a second consonant at the end. So they are very short. They are typically 3 letters long. There's exceptions, but very few. So 800 combinations of, I forget how many sounds, 30 different sounds in 3-letter combinations, And what I did when I was learning Sanskrit, I memorized the 800 roots on the bus to New York. And I just took the root book with me and memorized it. And it's very helpful. So sometimes when you're learning a language, you just have to do something crazy like that. We're going to build up the roots organically. We're going to start taking roots out of the verses that we translate. And then I always want you to be able to go back and say, I learned this root from the 3rd verse, and he was talking about blah, blah. And that's why we're using the Bodhisattvas to learn Sanskrit. And then you will always, if you get interested in Sanskrit and you work on your Sanskrit, you will always refer back to the Bodhisattvas. And it's one of the greatest practice texts ever written by a human being. And then we have additives, add-ons. Okay, we take the root and then we glue stuff on the front and the back, and we make words that way. Okay, so that's the basic structure of Sanskrit. And the construction of Sanskrit is so predictable that they call it generative grammar, for example. Generative means, and my professor did this, you could teach a computer the rules by which roots are modified and how things are added at the front and the back of the roots, and you could generate the Sanskrit language. Sanskrit really is okay. Sanskrit really is the perfectly formed language. And that's the meaning of the word Sanskrit, Sanskrita, okay? You could even cut this S here, okay? The real name for Sanskrit is Sanskrita. Say Sanskrita.
Sanskrita.
Sanskrita, yeah. And so the word Sanskrit, which is really Sanskrita, means the well-formed language. Karta means made, right? Like karma. We see that root in karma. And Sanskrit, sang means very perfectly. And Sanskrit, S is required between that kind of vocabulary, M and a K. So it means the predictable language. It's perfectly predictable. If you only knew the roots, you could teach yourself Sanskrit. And that's the approach I did. I learned the roots first, and then I learned how they are modified and how things are added in the front and the back. So just think of Sanskrita, think of the well-formed language as a root, and then there's going to be stuff added on the back, and there's going to be stuff added on the front. And all words are going to be created that way. And we're going to start with a real example, which is called the privative A. Privative means a negative. Okay, maybe, by the way, Christina Kasica, I'm thinking to wipe out all these old words and just make them modern. Okay, so let's say the negative A. Okay,
Good. Yeah.
Privative is probably more correct. Descriptive, but nobody knows it. Okay. And so you guys know this, but I'm going to repeat everything. I don't care what I taught you before. I'm going to teach you again, okay? One by one, all these things, all right? So this hyphen means that it is added on to the front of a word, okay? Is added on to the front of the word. So if we have that last verse from last time, it's say purvam, okay? By the way, a V in Sanskrit is more, it's more pronounced like a cross between a V and a W, purvam, okay, purvam. You don't say va, okay, purvam, okay? So purvam means before, purva means before. So Seiji, what is apurvam?
After or not before?
Not before, okay? And the first line here says, something that didn't happen before, I'm not telling you now. I'm not telling you now anything that nobody told you before. Apurvam. Okay, kinchid means anything. Nahi means you won't find anything here, which nobody ever said before. Okay, apurvam. Okay, so the organic Sanskrit principle for today, and we are starting from zero. Okay, I'm just repeating the most obvious things you ever heard about Sanskrit, because we are building up a whole new system of learning Sanskrit, and we have to, and we're going to number them, Christina, and then we're going to organize them in categories. And you could study the organization by Whitney in his grammar. That we're going to end up with something. He's got, I forget, 2,000-3,000 principles in his book. Okay, and now we have one. Okay, and in 5 years we'll have a couple hundred. Okay, so here's the first one. When you see an A at the beginning, at the beginning of a word, it could be negative. Okay, it could be negative. All right. Here's the verse you just translated, and I'm gonna two principles I would like to teach you here is first about long and short vowels. Okay, so the vowels, just some simple examples are A plus A, I plus I, oops. And these are some of the vowels that get U plus, gets a long form, okay? So I'll give you 3 here. That's called a short vowel. This one here, Seiji, say and then say say and okay. I'll give you an example.
Oh, right.
Okay. Pretty right. Okay. The sound in BUT is a short A. But. Okay. But. Okay. And the sound in the word purchased, bought, is a long A. Okay. Forget the letters. Forget the letters. Okay. But is a short A. Bought is a long A. And so you have to learn to ignore the letters and go for the sounds. Okay. Say like there's a big difference between I bought something from my tree or she touched my butt or something. I don't know. Okay. No, that's the difference between a short A and a long A. It changes the meaning completely. Okay. And you got to get used to that. Okay. And there's two aspects to short and long vowels. Okay. One is called the quality of the vowel. One is called the quality of the vowel, okay? As opposed to ah. That's the quality. What you hear is a change in the quality of the vowel, okay? As opposed to ah. And it changes the meaning of the word completely, like but and bought, okay? Also, it is considered classically to be, the long A is considered to be pronounced for 2 milliseconds instead of 1 millisecond. Okay, so you say but and you say but, okay, but and but, okay. And when you're reading Sanskrit, you have to pronounce the quality of the vowel. The pronunciation of the vowel has to go from to ah, but also the length of the vowel in time has to be 2 split seconds. Okay, listen, but, okay, but and bought. Okay, cool. All right, and then the I is the same, I and E. Okay, I and E and U and U. Okay, and again, the quality of the vowel shifts and the length, the time period of the vowel increases to double. Okay, all right. So I'll read this first line, okay? I'll read line number 3. You ready?
Yes, like, could you turn off the spelling error thing?
All right. Oh, how to do that.
Tools.
It is good. It's pretty great for diacritics.
Tools,
Tools.
Yeah.
spelling and grammar, hide spelling errors. Yeah, there you go. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay. Where's that? Oh well. It's not going. Okay. There we go. All right. I'm gonna read it and note the vowels. Okay. Mama, tavad, anena yati, verdhin, kushalon, bhavayitun, pasada, vegach, atamat samadhatur, eva pashyed, aparopyenam, atopi sartakoyam. Okay, so you hear the long A, right? The A vowel, I don't know what the statistics are. My professor before computers and Dwight Whitney did the statistics. It's in his book. And they counted all the vowels in the Rig Veda, for example, by hand. And the frequency of A is way past all the other vowels, okay? So the A vowel, and is much, much higher frequency, like 80%, okay? So if you just remember and you're well on your way to pronouncing Sanskrit correctly. We have marks that we put on letters to show their value, okay? Like to distinguish between a short A and a long A, we will add a mark above it. That's a macron. So we say tavid. And when we type it, we put a mark on the vowel. And that long line over the A means this is a long vowel, okay? These are called diacritics, okay? And where did the diacritics come from? I don't know why, but it was a system to show the exact pronunciation of a letter without taking more than one slot. Okay, they did not want to expand the letter to 2 slots. So they could have written AA, for example, but somebody wanted to keep it to 1 slot. So diacritic means restricting yourself to 1 slot horizontally. You add a mark onto a letter which changes its sound, okay? And these dots under the letters, these slashes over the letters, they are called diacritics. You can call them pronunciation marks or something like that, okay? But they change the sound of the letter, okay? And those are called diacritics. And we'll be learning the diacritics one by one, because this is organic Sanskrit. And I would like to call it officially DCC Organic Sanskrit. That's how this diacritic mark. And what happens historically is you get a word like this. Okay, just for example, okay, which is Sri Lanka, and it's actually like this, Sri Lanka, okay, and the Lanka is different also, but you get something like this, and then people who don't know anything change it to Sri Lanka, okay. What should it have been?
SH.
Double I. Oh,
No, well, yeah, but no, if you, because, and we're gonna learn it later, but this is called, hang on, because I feel strongly about it, approximate pronunciation, okay? Or you could call it closest, normal,
Phoenix.
English. But did I misspell pronunciation? Sorry. Pronunciation. Okay, and we're gonna get into that that obsession of mine later. But what happens is foolish people misspell the words of countries. Okay, and it drives me nuts. Yeah, in fact, we have a meeting today with one of those people, Nick. So, you know,
Set them straight.
my whole goal is to teach them pronunciation, but I'm not, of course, I wouldn't say that at the beginning of the meeting. But anyway, so this is diacritics. So now you know diacritics will be aggregating, will be adding to a collection of diacritics by organic. Each time we see a new diacritic and I don't have anything else to talk about in the verse, I will teach you what the diacritic means, okay? All right, so that's a diacritic, means a pronunciation mark. Maybe we should say pronunciation mark, I don't know.
Is it close to the phonetic system?
Well, there's 100 systems, and you know, this is the traditional Sanskrit system. Okay, okay. So please read, and Mr. Nick is gonna check you.
John Jordini nie par shintuka. Kiebui ton trupto par curpala. Keltendi la pempa matrupna. Chindi yang tak dangjur par kalangur.
Nice, Kalangur.
Practicing.
Kalangur.
Yeah. What's Downjor mean, Seiji?
Leisure and fortune?
Yeah,
No.
how many Delwas and how many Jorpas? These are two. Do you guys
10 and 8.
8
Yeah,
and 10.
Del-
Yeah.
Delwa Gay and
10.
Jorpa Chu. Yeah. 8 leisures, 10 fortunes, right? Delwa does mean to have time to do something. And Jorpa can mean to have the wealth or the means to do something, okay? So this life of leisure and opportunity is Shintuka to Nipa,
Very hard to find, to
extremely difficult to find, yeah. And the Sanskrit says labha, which means to attain, to acquire, okay? So if you know Sanskrit, you can translate slightly better, okay? What's Kibu?
to be born? No.
Person?
Person.
That's a person, a person's. Didn't Dhruv Siddhartha, right? What's it mean?
Goes beyond? No.
Things they want to
to-
accomplish?
Yeah, to
Oh.
accomplish the goals of a human being, okay? if you want to achieve the goals of a human life, okay, sorry. Topa means to achieve, right? If you hope to achieve the goals, sorry. Oh, okay.
Salud.
I want to go surfing, Nick. It cleans out your sinuses.
It's too rainy here.
I do a neti pot, and I think I'd rather have Mother Ocean do it, but okay. On a wave that you fall off, right? If you hope to attain, to reach, to give life, to give meaning to a human life, okay? Kelte de la Pemba. So you should try to give meaning to your life. Kelte, if you don't achieve Pemba, what's Pemba, Seiji? You guys know?
Benefit.
Beneficial.
Benefit, yeah. And by the way, in if I had time, and we could learn colloquial Tibetan also from the verse, and we could do a organic colloquial Tibetan. But Pengamindu, say Pengamindu. Everybody say Pengamindu. Okay. It's no use. It's not helping. Hey, I have a car problem. And I have a headlight problem, and I changed the headlight. I was so proud of myself, and it worked for like 2 hours, and then it went out again. And then I said, Pengamindu. It didn't help. Changing the headlight didn't help. It's a wiring problem. Okay. So Pengamindu means it didn't help. Okay. Pengamindu. All right. Madhu na. If you don't, what's the dila, you guys? And it's atra here, by the way. Here.
Oh, as pertains to in this human life.
Good. Yeah. If you don't get something done in this life, okay, when you have food, no one's bombing your house today, you're still fairly young, you have a teacher, you have books in the world, if you can't do something good now in this life, she means what?
Next life.
Yeah. Later on. Okay, later on. Halagyo means how you put the
How the heck?
How the heck you're gonna pull together these resources again? Okay, how are you gonna pull together these resources? Okay. Okay.
Again.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I just ask you? He used Purushartha instead of Siddhartha. Is that common, or do you?
I'm about to address that.
Oh, nice.
Here we go. A good teacher should anticipate your thoughts. So when I was studying the Abhidharmakosha, I spent 12 years on it. I wrote a dictionary of the Abhidharmakosha. It took me 12 years. On the bus, I used to go with a big tray of note cards and put them on my lap in the bus. Hundreds and hundreds of note cards, 2 trays, because there was no computers. And I worked on the Abhidharma, and it's about halfway through or something or less, I realized it was a bad idea, and then I had already spent like a year or 2 on it. And I was like, shoot, and the reason is Sanskrit authors twist words to make meter. And they replace words to make meter. Make meter means we need 23 beats, right, Seiji? We need 11 plus 12. Each line has got to have 23 beats. If he uses the normal word, he gets 24 or 26 or something. So a Sanskrit author will either use an accepted short form or long form, or they will create one. Okay. So like leisure and opportunity, they'll say eternity. Okay. Okay, got it? Instead of saying leisure and opportunity, they'll say eternity. Or they'll make up a word with pieces of other words. You see what I mean? And then that's why Sanskrit dictionaries are 3 feet thick, because then some poor Sanskrit dictionary writer has to go put that word in the dictionary. It wasn't a real word at the time, or it wasn't a serious word at the time. The guy just squished the word because he needed to make his beats. You know, why were they so anal about making beats, you guys?
Easy to remember,
Yeah,
to memorize.
much easier to memorize. When it's all in predictable beats, which the Tibetans achieved, it's totally easy to memorize. You know if you left the word out because it's da 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 Okay, you know if you forgot something. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out to anybody. If you're gonna make a Tibetan Sanskrit glossary, my suggestion is you use a lot of books, which is what who did, which is what Lokesh Chandra did. He made the greatest Tibetan Sanskrit dictionary in history. He's still alive, or he just died. He was 95 or something. But he spent his whole life making dictionaries from the ancient translations of the Tibetans. And so you got to be careful about this idea that you could make a vocabulary list or a glossary from the actual lines, because they are weird. Okay, they're not normal, and you don't want to learn the Sanskrit that way. Okay, so I'll be protecting you from weirdos. Okay, I won't teach you a Sanskrit word which is crushed or smashed or twisted that he wanted to make verse. Okay, and there's 100 things we could talk about in the Sanskrit, and we're going to be what do you call that? Disciplined. And we're not going to learn everything at once. There's one thing I want you to learn basically from each verse, or 2 things. In the last verse, we learned long and short vowels. And we learned about the idea of diacritics. And now in this verse, all we learned was don't trust the Sanskrit, don't memorize the Sanskrit words one-to-one from the Tibetan. Try to find out the full form of the Sanskrit. If you're going to memorize vocabulary, make sure you're not memorizing a twisted word. Okay. All right. Next verse, Seiji.
Jitar semo mun nakchin rumna glock long
Good. Low. Nick, you're up.
Kechik war nang tong pa tar da par. Thank you.
Yeah.
Chik par nang tong pa tar tan shin sangye tu yi kya lamna jik ten senam lu chok tang ka njung
Tanga, Yanga.
tangang.
Okay, good. Jitar means just as. Senmo means what, you guys? Sen means sign, sen means name, sen means rangten, chiten, but it also
nighttime.
Yeah, it also means nighttime. Senmo means nighttime. So when you see sen, you gotta be careful. It could mean name, it could mean sign, it could mean nighttime. Okay, I mistranslated a deity's name in the Vajrayogini Sadhana, Dutsema, for years, because I didn't have the Sanskrit. Okay. Moonnak means what? You guys know Moonba?
Darkness.
It means deep, dark night. Moonnak means the deepest, darkest night. Jin room means the clouds bunched. Room means the clouds kind of big clouds have smushed together, okay? Chinrum na, okay? A big, the sky is filled with big competing clouds, okay? Chinrum means that. But it's nighttime, so you can't see much. You can tell it's a cloudy night. You feel it's a cloudy night, but you can't see it very well. And then suddenly there's low.
Lightning.
High
Obstruction.
tone, by the way,
Oh.
low. Yeah, low. Low means
Lightning.
lightning, and it is the modern Tibetan word for electricity. Okay, so if you want to say Lokmandu means there's no electricity right now. The electricity went out, Lokmandu. Okay. If we had time, we could do a colloquial dictionary. Okay, gyu means we had gyu in the gyuing of the uk jungu.
The passing of the breath in and out.
Yeah, we had gyu in Sugeng's book. And this is a similar, it means to race or to speed. So lokyu means a stroke, what do you call it? A stroke of lightning? Bolt. You can say bolt here, a bolt of lightning, okay? Bolt of lightning. Keichik,
Instant.
single
moment.
instant, okay? And then you have to pronounce this as parnang. Parnang means the sky, the open sky. Parnang means the open sky, okay? Tumba means, here it means illuminate, okay? It means it shows the sky. So the sky is covered in deep clouds, many piles of clouds in the pitch black of the night. And then there's a single bolt of lightning that lasts for a millisecond and illuminates the whole sky. You can see all the clouds. You can see if there's any helicopters or owls, everything is illuminated, okay? I think this might have been the first two words of the third line.
Daishin?
I think it was Daishin.
Yeah.
I think it's a typing error or a carving error. So I'm not teaching you how to use Gopher yet, but we do have a search program. We do have 1 million pages of stuff to search. And I'm gonna search the whole Tengyur to see if it has this line in another book. And I'm going to check to see if this was DE, okay? I'm going to check to see if this was Daishin, okay? Because Daishin is very, very rare, okay? And this is how I have to work on your guys' text for many hours before class. Word, should we check for Daishin, Sangye?
We shouldn't, because we'll just hit this again.
Yeah, we'll just hit the mistake. If it's a mistake, you don't want to search for what you think is wrong. You want to search for the pieces around it. Okay, so I'm going to take Shin Sangye. By the way, you can just block it out. And I'm going to take these 4 syllables. And I'm going to jump over to Gopher. Okay, and I'm going to put it in the search field. Okay. Now, Seiji.
Yes.
Your book is under commentaried in the Tibetan. I have to say, that's why I'm thinking to write one. There's not enough commentaries. I don't know why, but there's not, in my opinion, there's no great thorough commentary that I know of. But there are some Sanskrit commentaries. There were some commentaries from ancient times, maybe from 1,200, 300 years ago. We do have some commentaries. Those commentaries might very well have ended up in the Tengyur. they might have been translated into the Tengyur. And whoever translated the Sanskrit into Tibetan may have used this line. Okay, so we're gonna go look in the what, you guys?
Thank you.
Yeah, so here's all my favorite search fields. I'll be teaching you how to use it. They are adjustable. Here's the Tengyur. Here we go. You ready? And I like to brag about this database. I like to brag about the search engine. The search engine is about 32 years old or something. And it's probably the only surviving piece of software from 32 years ago. And it was built to be future-proof, and it has proven itself, if I may say. Okay, here we go. Although it's now we're having trouble, but I have a plan. All right, here we go, Seiji. Count the seconds, all right? It's searching 3,700 books, okay? Ready? Which is about 1.5 million pages or something, okay? Come on. And there you go. Okay. There's a commentary to the Bodhisattva from ancient times. What's it say?
Deshin Sangitu.
It says Deshin.
Deshin, yeah.
Okay? And we can confirm it. We can say, keep looking. Is there any other commentary? Oh, it takes 1 second. Deshin. Okay. Is there any other commentary? There's, why is it wrong here?
That's our
It's probably this
That's
text.
our text. That's our text. Okay. All right. So anyway, we confirmed it should be day. Then you go back here, mixed nut standard, and you go like this. Okay. Okay. Why don't we just change it?
Future proof.
Maybe we're wrong.
Maybe we're wrong. Okay. So we respect the opinions of our forefathers. Okay. This percent sign in the mixed nuts means I think this is wrong. In fact, I'm sure it's wrong, but I'm not going to change the Tengyur. Okay. Okay. And you know, there's one chance out of 100 that it was really that way. And I'm going to respect that possibility. So this is what we do in the mixed nuts. Although when we publish a book, final publishing, we insert our corrections. But in the research, we don't change it. Okay. So, okay. So he just,
can I ask you a quick question about that?
yeah, go ahead.
If we check the scan that we know is the scan that was used for this input, and we see that the typist was wrong, in that case, would you change it?
No, I wouldn't, because the data is still running around somewhere. You see? Yeah.
It's recap time, by the way.
Yeah, let me finish. Okay, I'm gonna read this last 2 lines fast.
Why is that? Because the data is still running around somewhere?
Well, there'll be earlier iterations of our data in the world, and they will still say da, and people will get confused, you see? So I can't say who has our data from 1985. I don't know. And we
So
should
marking it like this at least shows that this is a variant that we've discovered.
Yeah, and it helps those guys who have our older data. That's my thinking.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Deshin Sangi Tui Gyalamna. Due to the power of the Buddhas, okay, Gyalamna means in 100 paths, which is an idiom for once in a million years. Okay, Gyalamna, which means once in 100 paths, is an idiom for once in 100 years or once in a million years or something like that. In English, we will say once in a million years. A singer like Alex Rivas only happens once in a million years. Gyalamna. Okay. Jikten Sonam Loder Tangajung. Jikten Sonam, the good karma of the world and their mental capacity, Tangachung, it only occurs in history for a few seconds. Tung here doesn't mean a field or a plane, it means a millisecond, okay? Tongue is an old word for kechik. Okay, so they required good karma in the world, and the required mental capacity to read the Bodhisattva happens as frequently as a bolt of lightning in one whole night. Okay, it's a beautiful metaphor. It's a beautiful metaphor. We're going to go to the Sanskrit, the organic Sanskrit next class for this verse. Okay, Seiji, you want to give us any review, like in like a mini review?
Yes. So, what do you see? We saw the first paragraph. Oh no, that was the homework. We talked about how this opportunity, this life of leisure and fortune is hard to find. The conditions for us to be able to have the time and resources to study this kind of texts. And basically this is it. If we don't do it now, we'll have to wait for a long time to get this same conditions. And then we went through this beautiful poetry image of how rare this is when you're in a dark night with a lot of clouds and a lightning strikes and it illuminates everything.
Yeah. What's the lightning represent? The mental capacity and the good karma.
Oh.
It only happens once in a night. Okay, once in a million
Right.
years. Yeah, good. So Seiji, can you translate the next? I want you to do 3 verses, okay? 6, 7, and 8. Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, the Sanskrit study that we're doing, organic Sanskrit, we just take 1 or 2 principles every verse, but we do not repeat principles. I will never talk about what's a diacritic again, never, in this Sanskrit course, okay? And then we're gonna accumulate or aggregate the Sanskrit rules or information very slowly and very gradually. But I am not gonna repeat, and that's part of the idea. So if you're here at the beginning, you're lucky, and you must study the principles we have given you so far, because I will not repeat them. And they aggregate, they are cumulative. If you don't have the first 30, you'll never be able to learn Sanskrit. You have to look these over, you have to learn them. I'm not repeating them, okay? And we're just moving on. You think it's simple now, but I'm not repeating principles as we go through the text, okay? You have to learn them. And come on, it's like 3 things, you know? But it adds up over a couple of years' time. So you have to memorize what I've taught you so far about the Sanskrit. And if you don't keep up with Seiji, you will never learn Sanskrit. You will never learn organic Sanskrit. I'm not going back, I'm not repeating, okay? It sounds easy now, but you're gonna get behind fast if you don't memorize what we did already, okay? And then you'll never learn Sanskrit, at least not in these classes, okay? Cool? All right.
Thank you very much, Geshe-la.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
Mr. Nick.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you, Geshe-la, and everybody. So you guys are really lucky. You have a Q&A with Mr. Tim Lewinhout now. And and then after that is yoga. So we will see you in the afternoon classes.
Yay.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for all the lessons. It's amazing.
Okay, see you guys soon.